Here's another important question for you, Brad.
Yeah.
Have you ever sent nudes?
Hell no.
Because
First of all, I mean, if that got out, I mean, the damage it would do to the world, I can't be responsible for that.
No, you would be solely responsible for that if that got out. Right? You mean right now you're like this lovable, hairy Ewok, balding Ewok.
I'm gonna remain.
Enough.
I don't know how lovable I am, but
it's going to remain a very well-kept, well-guarded secret.
Yeah. That cannot get out.
I'm starting the show now.
Begin.
Hello, welcome to Movieisms. I am Bekemeyer.
I'm a piece of crap.
Yes. Legally changed your name, right?
From balding Ewok
to piece of crap.
Piece of crap.
So those self-love meditations are really working out for you.
I'm focused.
I am manifestations. Piece of crap. Oh, piece of crap.
I'm meditating on
my
honesty.
Being
Being
Brad.
my true self.
Brad, that's the problem. You don't have a problem being your true self or being honest. You have a problem getting control of those things and becoming something other than yourself. That's what you need to work on.
So you want me to be fake? Okay.
No, I want you to be better than yourself. I don't mean be fake.
Come on, really? Do you think I'm capable of that?
I think anything is capable.
To quote a movie that I can't remember, what in our history
to quote a movie I can't remember
think that I'm capable of that?
You're trying to shove what the bleep do we know, the secret, down my throat all the time. If you will it, dude, it is no dream. To quote another movie called The Big Lebowski. If you will it, dude,
yes.
It is no dream.
You can. It does affect yourself and the world around you. How you think, your thought life. You can manifest a lot of negativity, a lot of crap, or you can manifest more happy, good things.
So what I'm saying, Brad, is, so what? Now what?
It's too hard.
Do you realize how much meditation and positive thinking I have to do because of you?
You have to compensate.
I have to overcompensate. I've been 45 minutes, an hour a day in there. Just
next thing
trying.
You know, it'll be half the day just trying to.
God, you're like a black hole, and I'm having to create the opposite energy to counteract your shit. It's like, oh God, Brad's gone off the deep end.
So that's
I'll be
back
in an hour.
That's why you've gotten not only so good at meditating, but why I never see you anymore, because you just walked in your room.
I'm off there keeping. There's a disturbance in the force. I have got to bring balance back. It's all up to me because nobody else knows this shit's going on. I'm the only one here to witness it.
I'll try harder, okay?
Please. I got things to do other than sit around relaxing. Breathing exercises.
Correcting the balance of the universe when I'm upsetting. Yes. Oh, God. Just imagine, if you feel that way, just imagine...
How bad you feel?
If I ever get a girlfriend.
Oh, my God.
Just imagine the weight that woman would have to bear.
The internet has done wonders for the mail order bride thing. Because I could use some... She would be your wife, but she would really be my assistant. Could you please... your job today is to... that whole thing over there.
You want an Ewok Wrangler is what you want.
There's a job for that.
Wrangle Brad. Okay.
So, we saw
Assassination
Nation, which I personally had a feeling I was gonna like. I had a good vibe from the trailer,
and I thought it was gonna be Purge with cheerleaders or something.
Yeah, and you kept saying that, and you even tried to rope me into. That's what I thought. That's what you thought. I thought it was going to be too. But I always thought it was going to be some political rampage, natural born killers sort of thing, which both of us were wrong. It's not really a natural born killers, girls on a rampage thing, and it's not girls purge with girls. Yeah,
yeah.
It's really it's a social commentary. The basic premise for the movie is someone hacks the mayor of Salem. They don't even say Salem where, but it's Salem, like this town called Salem. Somebody hacks the mayor of this town's phone, and it gets out that he's like bisexual. Okay,
well, cross-dressing,
and he's hanging out, but he campaigned on family values, religious right, bashing the LGBT community, blah blah blah. But it comes out that in his private time, he's experimenting with things of his own. So that gets out, and then it's like, oh, who did it?
It's a spoiler. Yeah, we can't say what he does, can we? Even though it's right at the beginning.
Yeah, I can't say what he does.
Okay.
But
I can say it's violent, right?
Yeah, it's violent. Yeah.
It's shocking.
And then the basic story is that the rest of the town, like, hacks get made, and then people's phones, the stuff on their phone gets released out into the community. And the fiery downfall that causes, like people lying, people stealing, people cheating on other people, like the embarrassing details of the thing. So I listened to it's just started raining. How about that? I listened to an interview with the writer-director of this movie named Sam Levinson, and he said his basic idea was, what if the internet was people? Instead of it being the anonymous internet, what if people acted in person the way they do on the internet?
When you told me that, that's when I changed my mind and thought, oh, okay, I actually want to see that now.
So what happens is people get the mayor runs on this like conservative campaign. He gets outed as a cross-dresser, somebody who's not as sexually conservative or pure. I don't know about pure, if pure is the word, but prudish in his actual life as he is in public life. And he basically gets embarrassed by it and shamed by it. So after that thing happens with the mayor, they start releasing other things. Now, so the thing with the mayor, if that were to get out, that's something that the public should know. The public reacted to it in I would say, a believable way, because they were pissed at him for lying to them. No one said you have to be a straight-laced, boring, wet blanket in bed, but you said all these things were bad, and now you are those things. And they felt lied to. So the public reacted in a natural way. And then the principal gets outed, and he's basically just got pictures of his daughter in the bathtub
from 5 years ago that he never deleted.
Right, when she was like a 5 or 6 year old girl. Yeah. And he's labeled as a pervert. So it's like the people's reaction to these leaks or hacks, I guess.
Yeah.
Deteriorates into madness over
it becomes
time.
whatever the narrative is, whatever the first initial assumption becomes the reality. What everyone else just assumes, okay, that's what it is, and then they start acting violently and just acting as if he raped his daughter.
Yeah, they're calling him a molester, a child molester,
breaking down the window on his door and bashing it in, and
Violently. So all the death threats become actual threats. Like the people that get death threats online for... right now we have Christine de Blasey Ford, the lady who is saying that the Kavanaugh, the Supreme Court justice, attempted to rape her in high school.
Yeah.
She's getting death threats because she came out and said this. Like, the thing about her is she knows... is the internet culture. She knows what's going to happen if she comes out and says, this happened back then. So, honestly, there's no need for her to lie about it. It was 30 years ago or whatever. Maybe even far. They were both close to 60, so they were 16, 17 years old. Now, she knows that coming out and saying this happened, is going to light a fire under the universe, the world, and everyone's going to come after her for it. And she's doing it anyway. So it's crazy that just saying this happened can get the whole like mob mentality of the internet, like pointing all of its attention, fiery, like hateful attention on you. So that's what happens in this small town when people get outed as things. One guy says, so-and-so did it. Because the whole rest of the movie is them trying to figure out who... Not the whole rest of the movie, but a portion of the movie is spent on who did it, who's releasing this stuff.
Well, after the whole town, somebody hacked the entire town, and everybody's shit got out. Which reminded me of an episode of South Park, but you don't watch South Park.
No.
But it was very similar. Everyone went nuts and started trying to kill it. So I wonder if they saw that and made that a live action version. But I do want to emphasize that this movie really is a visual representation of how we treat each other on the internet. How we overreact and immediately start saying mean, evil things based on something someone else said that isn't even true, but we react assuming it's true, and then start calling them evil horrors and whatever, and then just, that's it. It's been decided, and then a mob mentality comes in. So, it is shocking at points, and I think that's one of the reasons why you enjoyed the movie so much, because it's getting the point across by being shocking. It's like, imagine if how we treat each other on the internet was real. Okay, now, next time you go to type that bullshit in, remember this scene in the movie.
So there's a human being on the other end.
Right.
That...
feels like they're being crucified,
that is suffering from your little tweet, your anonymous tweet you get to put out.
Which, by the way, was represented when the town started wearing masks. Yeah. Then they became anonymous. Yeah. And that really struck me as, okay, that is representing an anonymity of being on the internet.
Through the course of the story, what happens is people decide that these four girls, who the movie is about, are the ones that were responsible for everyone's troubles. Even though they had nothing to do with it. In fact, one of them, all of them were people who were outed by leaks as well, but people just decided that you did it. And then they turned on them, and they had to, people were dying, people were afraid for their life, and they're just 17, 18-year-old girls who are just trying to be high school students. So it was great in that way, and in a way it's social commentary. So that's social commentary, the way we treat each other and look at this. This is how, if you were face to face, the way you act on the internet is this is if you were acting that way in person, this is what it would look like. Yeah. So that's social commentary. The political side of this, not even political. I don't even want to call it political, but there is a political position in terms of, like, maybe it's also social. This is also social. The way girls are in reality, the way girls are sort of over sexualized from a very early age. Do you remember pictures of like how controversial pictures of Britney Spears were, and she was like 15 years old and she was basically dressed like a stripper on the cover of Rolling Stone.
So she's
you know, and we know now that from that age on, Britney Spears got pretty fucked up over it. You know, it was like the fame thing really messed with her head. I think she's better now, but so girls are the whole selfie culture and the whole like send nudes culture. That's why we're talking about nudes earlier. Is they're encouraged to do that by these guys, by grown men, and honestly, what happens is they do it because of the pressure. They think, you know, a young girl is sort of like, oh, this is how I get a boy's attention, you know. Oh
yeah, that you remind me. One of my favorite parts of the film is when the girls are talking about how the guy's idea of how to have sex they got from watching porn on the internet, where every video is a guy choking a girl.
Yeah.
And so she said every time I'm with the guy his first time, he starts trying to choke me.
Yeah.
Because he thinks that's how you do it.
Dude, I teach high school. I know I've said this to you before. I think I have, at least. I've said this for years. When I started teaching high school, I realized that teenagers' view of sex is all based on internet porn.
Which is ridiculous.
It's scary. It's frightening because that is not healthy for either one of them.
And it's demoralizing to women.
Demoralizing to women. And, I mean, men, too, because they behave that way. But it's the alpha male. You're there to please the male. So if the guy wants to choke you, to have control over you, to dominate you, like, what does Cesar Millan say to do to dogs if you're having a struggle, you put your hand on their throat?
I'm going to say this and we'll get off of this subject because it's not comfortable. But by the time all of those videos, whatever one you watch, the woman is humiliated at the end, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And they're acting like, oh, this is great and wonderful. But the way all the videos end, I feel like I can't do that to a woman. And why is this? Yeah. Why is it every video is this way? I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You just trying to just watch a video, you'll know.
No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So I mean, even the first shot of the movie is like, maybe not the first shot, but in the first scene, she's on the bed and the guy's sticking his fingers all the way down her throat.
Right.
And she said, "Here's my day today." And then she said, "Well, never mind, because what I did the first thing this morning was kind of gross." And then we cut to another scene, and he's just choking her. He's like sticking his fingers down her throat. And then the next time
hot.
And the next time somebody sees her, she says, "Have you been crying?" He said, "No, I just had a guy jam his fingers down my throat for 30 minutes or something like that." And it's like, but it's they're raised, not raised. They grow up in a society that over sexualizes them and puts their pictures, puts their their selfies and all that stuff is like, it's how they get recognized and noticed as beautiful and whatever like that. And the more you're willing to show, the more they are considered hot, sexy, beautiful, desirable, whatever. So the guys ask them for it, and the girls send it. But then and I've had this happen at my school. What happens when the girl pisses the guy off? He sends the pictures out to everybody.
Yeah.
And then she's a slut. Look at this slut. She sent me these pictures. And it's so fucked up because the guy's the one that asked for it in the first place. You ask her for it, she sends it to you, and then you punish her for it. So the whole movie is this like observation, this like, I don't know, you could even say meditation on look what happens when we encourage these people to be sexual beings, and then when they are ostracized for it. And like, what a whore, and it's just so wrong. First of all, it's wrong to sexualize a 15, 16-year-old girl anyway. But when they do, I mean, even her parents, this girl's parents were so mad at her, they punished her for not being their sweet little girl anymore. So she did. It's not even. You wouldn't even say she made a mistake, which wasn't what she had done was a mistake. But she's now being punished for being a sexual creature. She's 18 years old. This kid was 18 years old. Yeah. So now she's being punished twice for sending this inappropriate picture to a married man, okay? And then she's being punished by her parents for being a sexual creature. She's grown up in this world. I'm not saying it's not her fault.
It's more like she was punished like 4 times.
Well, she continued to be punished for the whole rest of the movie, yeah. So I'm not saying that she's not wrong. I'm just saying that this is what happens when they grow up like this. Their view of their own self-worth is all based on Instagram likes and all that stuff, because they talk about it a lot in the movie. They talk about how many likes, and then she starts getting, once her pictures get leaked, she starts getting likes and follows and all this stuff. She instantly becomes popular, and then what they're doing, they're following her so they can fucking destroy her life.
That was a prevalent theme in the movie after we got halfway, was when the phone was constantly dinging, ding, ding, ding. Yeah. When the bad thing happened, and all of a sudden everyone's like, following and liking, and all of a sudden. But you referenced the parents punishing the girl. Mm-hmm. The pictures came out, and it's interesting. When that scene happened, I just subconsciously assumed that she had sex with the guy. But you were paying attention, and he was like, no, she didn't do anything.
She said she never had sex with him. I just took her word for it because we didn't find out any other way.
And the parent said, is that you in the picture? And then she's like, don't do this. But she admitted to it and immediately kicked her out of the house. And she's at the doorstep crying. Mm-hmm. But it's real... I don't know if the word is juxtaposed.
Juxtaposed, yeah.
And it's how they punish the boy when they find out. I'm not going to reveal what, but a boy did something like worse, and they just like, well, why did you do this? They don't. They overreact to the woman doing it. But then the guy, he does something even worse, like the worst evil. Yeah. And they're just calmly questioning him. Yeah. He doesn't get punished the same way the woman does. Yeah.
That's pretty much how it is. But that's how it is in life. If a guy sleeps around a lot, I mean, the old standard cliche, if a guy sleeps around a lot...
He's just a guy.
He's just being a guy. Yeah. Boys will be boys. But if a girl sleeps around a lot, or if she even if she even sleeps with one person or two people, she's a whore. That girl is a whore. She slept with that guy. Like, why is that? Why is the scarlet letter still a thing?
And also...
Why is it so...
Yeah, but what's ridiculous is everyone in high school, that's all they talk about, and really all they think about. Yeah. And the moment someone does it, it's like this big thing, like, you're a slut now. Yeah. But it's probably because out of jealousy, like, I wish I was doing that. Yeah, you're a slut.
It could be that, but it's like the way we self-righteously moralize ourselves so that we can feel right.
Yeah, that was part of the speech at the end where she was talking about you righteous.
The speech at the end that she gives is a great in summary of exactly what those girls went through that whole movie. It was so good. And she just fires it off because I want to see it again just so I can hear that speech again. Because that speech, I don't remember much of, but I remember it was like the opposites. Oh, you want selfies from us and we send them, but we're a whore. Then we, don't have sex, but if you don't have sex, you're a prude. If you do have sex, you're a whore. And it's like, hey, you can be anything you want to, but do what we tell you. You can even be president. Just kidding. It's like this whole little thing she goes off on that is so, like, it's the perfect little bow that it put on this, like, ball of fire that this movie was. It's like a fireball. And it's like, here we go, watch this. And I know people aren't gonna... It might not be for everybody.
For sure.
You know, in a way that, and it's not like Natural Born Killers, where Natural Born Killers really was just like, at times, pointlessly violent. But the point was that it was pointlessly violent, and how we make entertainment out of violence.
Right. It was a commentary on the media and how we're glorifying
a great movie.
Violence,
so it's not like that movie in that it's pointless, but it is like that movie in that it's an abstract iteration of things. So
what's interesting is when you say pointless, because by being pointless, it's making a point.
Yeah, or senseless. I guess senseless is the word that's more appropriate.
Okay, right.
But there are things in this movie that are they're just there. Like there's a transgender character in this movie. They never they
don't even talk about it. You have to figure it out yourself.
You figure it out through their conversations, and you realize, and then but it doesn't make a big deal out of it. It's just there. It's like, in a way, in a very good way, I think, normalizing the thing.
Yeah.
But her character is it's funny because she's treated as a girl amongst this group of girls. She's very welcomed into the group.
Even the guys that persecute her at the end were calling her her, which I thought was interesting because usually when you're persecuting a transgender person, you're calling them the opposite.
If you really want to hurt that person, you call that her a him.
Yeah.
Right. But even the guys who were like the assholes, the like assholes who were literally stringing her up, were still calling her her. But it's funny because she was sort of, she's single. She was having a relationship with this guy. She went to a party, and this guy, I don't know if he was eyeballing her. I think she called it eye fucking me. He's eye fucking me from across the room or something like that, which is a great term. So they hook up, and she's immediately treated like it was a one night stand. You can't tell anybody about this. And she's like, oh yeah, I understand. But it's heartbreaking to her because she thought, hey, here's a guy who might actually like me, who might be accepting me, even though I'm different. You know, they're going to accept me. And I thought, in this moment, this is great. This is a transgender character, a transgender girl having sex with a boy in a movie that's released into multiplexes. Like, that's not something that I don't remember seeing that in a long time, if ever, in any movie.
Which, by the way, I want to say that it's tame. Because
it's not.
If they did any more than what was on there, I would have had problems.
You would have been uncomfortable. I wouldn't have been uncomfortable. I would have thought even more. But there's a movie called Transamerica, which is about Felicity Huffman. Is it Huffman? Felicity Huffman is in it. She's playing a man transitioning into a woman, but she's still got, the male body parts. There's a scene in that movie. That movie that she's in was like a $1 or $2 million. It might have been more than that, but it was a very small independent film. And there's a scene where she's naked and she's got the breasts, but also the male parts. And she's taking a shower and she's just looking at herself. That was the first time that I remembered ever there being like a trans character in a movie, let alone a bigger scale, like released into... Transamerica was not released into multiplexes. Transamerica was a small independent movie that you had to find somewhere to watch. This movie is in our little movie theater, the 14-theater movie theater in Ocoee, Florida. And there's a trans character having sex with a boy. Like, trans girl having sex with a boy. I was so, happy to see that. Now, she is punished for it for the whole rest of the movie. Because, she's even worse than a whore. She's not even a real whore. Because she's not even a real girl. She's just she ended up just being a hole for this guy to stick his dick in.
Yeah.
And she realized that right after when he says, nobody can know about this. No, that wasn't real. That was just me, exploring my curiosity about you.
I'm a prude when it comes to sex. It's just weird for me. I'm uncomfortable with I don't want to say normal. When people of the opposite sex are doing I just don't. But watching a movie with my friend is sitting right there. I don't want. That's not a thing I want to be experiencing with a friend.
But It was.
So it's uncomfortable anyway, but it's even more uncomfortable when it's a taboo thing.
Yeah. However, I'm so glad that it wasn't treated as taboo in this movie.
Right.
It was a real thing, and then the guy had his recoiling from it. He was like, now, oh, what are people going to think if they know I had sex with this guy who's a girl? You know, so then he had to shun her, and then he had to, air quotes, he felt socially pressured to rejoin his band of idiots who, when the shit was going down, when the town was blowing up and on fire and all that stuff, these guys were...
They were forcing him
to
shun her. And I guess because maybe subconsciously, I like this guy, he's my friend. So if this guy that I likes another guy, does that make me gay? So I feel like...
Yeah, it's homophobia.
Right.
Yeah.
They're overreacting, forcing him to shun her so that they don't have to feel gay. I feel like that's why they're doing that. I don't know.
I think that this movie has so many things, so many like commentary layers going on inside of it. Oh, that's this and that's that. That just on one viewing, it reminded me a lot of Sorry to Bother You. Just think about the last in the last few months, the just different movies we've been able to see. I've been complaining a lot in the last 3 or 4 weeks, even on our show, talking about how I'm so tired of these mundane, mediocre movies. Like, when are the good things about to come out? This was this. I told you when it finished. This was soul food for me. This was an interesting movie that was good. That was not about superheroes blowing things up or just a story that should have been good but was just not well thought out. This movie made me think. I woke up this morning thinking about it. I went running this morning. I'm trying to figure out how am I going to articulate to people what this movie is, because it's so different from anything that's out right now and different from anything other than Sorry to Bother You that has been out in a long time.
You said, I'm pretty sure twice, you said, I love this movie.
Yeah.
If we were to give it stars, I would think you would rate it 5.
This is a 5-star movie.
Because I thought you were gonna just come on the show and say best movie of the year so far.
Okay.
But you ended up saying that Hereditary and...
So, Hereditary...
Yeah.
And Assassination Nation and Black Klansman are my 3 favorite movies of the year so far.
Sorry to Bother You, number 4.
Sorry to Bother You is in there too, yeah. So those are my top. Now, which one of those do I think will be nominated for any Academy Award type things? It's probably just Hereditary. But Assassination Nation could get in there. It's interesting enough and thought-provoking enough. It's the sort of thing that can do well if it's accepted.
I feel like they'll let it be nominated just so that they can be politically correct, but they won't let it win.
Oh, it won't win.
Assassination Nation is too... I feel like they're... what do you call it? Maybe they're thinking, oh, we let some people of different races win some things and get nominated. That's enough for now. Let's do a little bit at a time. We can't, it feels like it's too racy for them to let win. So we talked about this on our show a while ago. There are 2 types of people, 2 types of movie watchers. There are people who seek to be entertained, and that doesn't mean that they don't like interesting movies. That means, do they find that movie entertaining? Just so everyone knows, he's pointing his hands at me.
At you. Yeah, you are you'll even be, we've talked about it a lot lately, you are even entertained by bad movies, which I am not entertained by bad movies.
If there's great kung fu, but the whole movie's terrible, I could say that was some awesome choreography.
Right.
But you're like, no, that was shit.
That's because I like to have my intellect stimulated. If I'm watching something and my intellect is not stimulated...
Okay, I'm going to let this go.
My intellect can be stimulated by watching Black Panther. I got a lot out of that movie. So I'm not saying that only dark, depressing, serious movies are my thing. I like those movies, but is my intellect stimulated in some way? Am I thinking about something while I'm watching this? Not am I enjoying the kung fu scenes, which I do. I'll watch a movie and think this is a great choreography in that. The movie was shit, but the choreography was great. But I won't walk out there going that was a great movie.
Yeah,
because it didn't make me think.
Okay.
Step Brothers, a totally silly movie, right? A totally silly movie. That is one movie that did not like necessarily intellectually stimulate me, but that I totally enjoyed because it is truly funny.
And it's sort of weird to me because I just consider that another Will Ferrell movie.
Yeah.
But you, the guy who's picky about movies, are like, this is the greatest comedy. Like, that's your go-to comedy.
That's my go-to mindless comedy of current.
I don't like it as much as you do, but
I just think it's funny. Maybe it's because I don't know. You had brothers.
What's his name?
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly. I think it's mostly him. Because that guy is just hilarious.
Yes.
And then you
The
get
two of
him
them
with
together,
Will
though.
Ferrell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite comedy, though, was The Big Lebowski.
Oh, that for sure.
That movie makes me think. That intellectually stimulates me and makes me laugh.
Yeah.
For different reasons. And I don't really like stoner. The thing about Big Lebowski is I do not like stoner comedies.
Neither do I.
I don't find marijuana funny. I don't think it's funny.
Either.
I hate the smell of it. I'm like a dad when it comes to that. I think it's... But I've always been a dad. I was a 16-year-old kid, and I did not like the way marijuana smelled, and I wasn't going to smoke it, and I was not welcomed into very many like popular friend circles because of it. But still to this day, I still don't.
Yeah,
so, but the fact that Big Lebowski, the fact that may have been my initial recoiling from that movie is because I did not like the Big Lebowski. It wasn't just weed,
but it was alcohol and then other things. It was just getting effed up.
But I rewatched. I do as much as I disliked that movie when I first saw it, and I've heard this a lot about this movie. As much as I disliked The Big Lebowski when I first saw it, somehow somebody convinced me to rewatch it, and I did, and it became my favorite comedy.
I would like to say it was me because I even drugged my brother when I first saw it. I dragged my brother, and then I realized once I brought my brother in and it started, I was like, oh crap. This is really weird. I'm not sure if my brother will get this. I might have made a mistake, and then he's going to punish me for it. But he ended up loving, but when it got to the point where the Germans were in the parking lot, and I would fuck you, I'd fuck you.
Those weren't Nazis, dude. Those were nihilists.
Nihilists.
That's what he says in the movie. Those weren't Nazis, dude.
When
Those
it got
were
to
nihilists.
that point, I was like, I was repeating what they were saying, and he got on board, and he was, from then on, it was like, yes, he loves The Big Lebowski.
All right, so we cut off your Johnson. I don't need my rug, Walter. I need my fucking Johnson. Dude, that is one of the most quotable. This is one of my favorite, most quotable movies.
By the way, your new Jeff Bridges quote.
Oh yeah, shit happens. Get the whiskey.
Yeah,
yeah. From Bad Times at the El Royale.
We call that a movieism, by the way. When you quote a movie in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait. So there's. So first of all, let's wrap up our conversation about Assassination Nation.
Yeah.
If this conversation even makes you think you might like it, go see it. If you like to see movies that make you think about things, again, there's like the violence in this movie is real. There's real violence going on.
Yeah.
And the scene where the other scene where they basically there's a girl. I won't be specific. There's a girl that did something and they're trying to prove it by, like, does she have a birthmark on her back?
Oh, yeah.
So they hold her down, pull her clothes down and shirt up to show it, and it's just to humiliate her. And you fucking whore, and
and then they use that to show the world. Look, this is her birthmark, and it's in the video. That's her.
And all it is because this guy got his feelings hurt because she sent some other guy pictures other than her. But the whole movie, he was asking her to send him pictures.
He was reacting to her as if she
belonged to him.
But also as if she screwed that guy, which I told you I assumed from the pictures. So he just assumed and
You're part of the problem, Brad.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, he was treating her like he owned her, holding her down like a dog.
Yeah.
She was a whore, even though technically all she did was send pictures. Yes, they were risque, revealing pictures. None of the pictures we saw in the movie there's no nudity in this movie.
Right, not full on. You can see through clothes.
It was hinted at.
Not hinted at. I mean, you can see nipples.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't think I noticed. But all the girls...
okay, so I'm the perv!
No. But I was just thinking about the way they're dressed. When I first saw it, when Fade In, this girl's wearing, like, what you said, are those Daisy Dukes? I'm like, yeah, they're Daisy Dukes.
Yeah, her ass is hanging out.
They're so short, her ass is literally just hanging out of them. Tight and short.
Yeah.
Tight and short revealing clothes. Because, again, in this world, girls are taught at a very young age that's how you dress. So that's how you dress if you want attention. But because they dress like that, they're called sluts. And because they dress like that, people are saying, like, well, why do you dress like that if you don't want that attention?
Yeah, both are true.
They're somehow at fault for someone else's reaction to what they're wearing.
It's society's fault that they're wearing that, but at the same time, they shouldn't be wearing that. So, yeah, I don't know.
So, I teach high school. I know I start every conversation about my school out with I teach high school. Yeah. Every single day, 5 girls at least come in going, I got dress coded today. And it's because sometimes they're wearing straps that are too thin and you can see too much shoulder. Sometimes it's because they have a rip in their jeans that is above their thigh,
which are the wrong things to focus on.
Right. So what they are told are, if you wear that, it's going to be too distracting to boys, so they won't be able to concentrate in class. So it's now the girl's fault that the boy can't mind his own fucking business and pay attention in class. But all it really does, because boys are distracted whether you have a rip in your jeans or you're wearing jeans with no holes in them. Boys are going to look at girls. They're going to look at girls. Yeah. And girls, by the way, are going to look at boys. But all it does is disrupt class all day because girls are constantly being pulled out of class, held up in the hallway because they have a rip. Not even skin. Like you know how the jeans rip and then there's the frayed white things? They get pulled over for that. Okay, but boys never get dress coded. Even though boys sometimes will wear shorts that are shorter than the shorts they let girls wear, but since it's a boy, nobody... So it's okay for the boys to do whatever, but also the boys just don't get it. But girls, every day I got dress coded today. I have girls walking around stuffing paper in their clothes so there's no hole there so that people, when they get pulled over, they have to wear layers and layers of clothing. Now I say to them, why don't you just wear jeans that don't have holes in them? It's like, Bekemeyer, like and then they say to me, you can't buy jeans that don't have holes in them. Those are mom jeans. You know what I mean?
I guess.
So, but even they can't wear. I had a girl who told me she got dress coded because there was too much cleavage. The thing is, she's developed as a human being. What is she supposed to wear? She's supposed to wear a fucking
maybe
smock.
She didn't have time to buy new clothes to fit.
But she's just like a developed girl. She's a tall girl. She's got, she's tall. She's long legs. Her body is growing. Is she supposed to wear a smock? I think she's supposed to wear like a nun's outfit because she like.
So I think what you're touching on is that's another point / message in this movie.
Yeah.
Is that it's never the guy's fault. So I think another point that addresses is that, especially with the Me Too movement and all the guys being called on their bad behavior, let's just say it's on the men to behave better.
Yeah.
Because as you were talking, I was remembering and thinking that in the past 10, 20 years, when I see girls in high school, I've gotten in trouble because of my height, where I'll see.
Yeah, you are eye level with
I'll
things.
see a beautiful. Yeah, I'll see a beautiful woman that's close to my height and developed and all of that, and then I have to take a second and say, "Wait a minute." That could be, that's probably a high school, 15, 16, whatever. You know, pull that back. And because when I was, and it's this for you and everybody that's our age, when we were in school, girls did not look like that.
And they didn't dress like that.
Milk apparently did a body good. That was another commercial when we were kids.
It's the growth hormones that are in the chicken nuggets. Nuggets.
And milk.
The processed food and all that stuff. It's all...
And the cows, the female hormones, so they do have milk all the time.
But they've also, in that time, we have rebelled against our, like, wholesome 1970s, 80s feeling, where we've rebelled against that as a culture or society. So now... their way of expressing themselves is to ditch convention and dress,
and
I don't know, in revealing ways. However, it's their right to express themselves, and yes, it is distracting at times, because it's the first thing I was saying. It's the first thing I thought when she walked in. I'm like, that would never. That's not true high school wardrobe. You know, like a dress code. Yeah. But that's the commentary that this movie is making, is like, look, they're dressed like this and they're getting the attention they're getting, and somehow it's not the people's fault.
They're pressured to dress that way and be that.
Yeah.
But that's a point I wanted to make that I think the movie is hinting at, is that, like, even you as a high school teacher, as an adult, have to see girls that look like women to us. And so it's your responsibility to temper your thoughts and your behavior as a man. And I'm just going to say, all men, it's your job to control yourself.
The thing is, you know, I have a daughter. I, number one, don't want my daughter to grow up feeling like these girls feel. But I also have a daughter who I want people to treat with respect.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, they're just kids. You talk to them, you get to know them, and if you are a level-headed human being, you talk to these kids and realize no matter what they look like, they are children.
Yeah. And
they're trying to figure out the world that they're living in, that they've been brought into. These are children. Who are these grown men?
But also, even if the girl that's 18, it's still a child. Just because it's legal doesn't mean that's okay.
But who are these grown men who think it's okay? Like, I ask my female students all the time. I'll ask them, hey, do you guys get, you work at a restaurant? They're like, yeah, I work at a restaurant. Now, what do you do? Waiting tables, I take food out and stuff. Do you get just randomly hit on by grown men? And they say, all the time. I'm like, do they know that you're 15 or 16 years old? And last conversation I had with them, they said, yeah, I told them, I'm 15 years old. She was at a 7-Eleven or something, and some guy was like, oh, you know, trying to chat her up. And she's like, I'm 15. He's like, well, it's okay. Like, I didn't mean anything by it. But yes, you did. Also, why is it her job to put up with your creepiness at a fucking 7-Eleven?
Yeah.
This movie makes me think about all this stuff. Which, by the way, I have a 15-year-old daughter. I'm always thinking about this stuff anyway. But this movie was like pitch perfect for me on that stuff. Totally loved it. I want to take even though it's going to be hard for her to see some of it, I want to take my daughter to see it, because I want to have this conversation with her, you know, and I think she'd like it. Plus, there's girl power shit in there. There's girl power stuff in the movie.
You might also get some insight from a 15-year-old girl's point of view of the everything that's going on.
Yeah, it was great, but we cannot not talk. We cannot stop talking about it without mentioning the cinematography. This movie
Right.
was shot so well. It was very cool. Like, shots will flip upside down and like show you things. You're like, what am I looking? What am I looking at?
There was like, it seemed like 15 minutes went by where it didn't cut, and it was just going up and down the house, left and right, spinning around the
Yeah.
people walking around outside, and then back to the house.
Yeah,
and
there were
then
these
into
very
the door.
there were two at least very complicated, like what they call them oneers, like one shots. And it was very cool to see everything all choreographed and worked out. There may have been the magic of editing built in there somewhere,
Had
like
to be,
like
yeah.
secret wipes that we didn't see, but it felt like a one shot, and it was beautiful to look at. It was
The music.
bloody and violent.
I remember loving the music.
Yeah.
Like 70% of the movie, whenever music came on, I'm just like
Yeah.
tapping along with it. And
That was
the bass.
That wasn't enjoyable
There
for
was
me,
a-
by the
there
way.
was a
When you're
point-
singing along with the music while I'm trying to pay attention to the movie,
Dude,
you're beatboxing.
the bass was awesome.
Yeah.
There was a point where our seats and the
Were
floor
vibrating.
was
Yeah.
vibrating. I
Yeah.
felt like I was on a ride.
You felt the movie in moments on a guttural
Yeah.
in a guttural way, and the music was very cool. I want to listen to that soundtrack. So the movie is violent and bloody, and like there's a point where one girl is like covered in blood from head to toe, and and it's just because she got caught up in this thing that she had to fight her way out of. But it's also smartly written. It's like every moment and line of dialogue is to build towards a point. And you can watch it on the level of, this is a story about this shit that goes crazy and these girls fight their way out of it. Or you can watch it on the level of, this is the world we live in and this is what we've come to.
I will say that even though it's making a point, that because there was a point where I was starting to feel like this is very American Beauty.
Yeah.
But you do you do. There's a point where you get justice. There's a point where you feel like, oh man, I really wish that she could just get some guns and just kill everyone.
At the very beginning of the movie, she said, somebody said, so and so, I hate that guy. I wish he would like die or something like that.
Yeah.
And she said, and one of the girls said, "Oh, I don't feel that way. I feel like I can disagree with him and still have empathy for him."
Right.
So in a way, that's sort of like what the rest of the movie is an example of not being, and it's part of at the very beginning. It revealed this one girl's innocence. Like, I believe I can still, or idealism, not even innocence, but naive idealism, where she's like, yeah, we can disagree and still get along. I can still feel for that person.
Which is the opposite of Trump and what society is
Which
today.
is the opposite of the internet. The internet.
By the way, everyone's listening, you can disagree with someone and not hate them or persecute them.
You could also disagree with somebody and then go have a conversation with that person and learn from them.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a fascinating concept.
What a weird idea.
But also in this movie is the transformation of that naive idealism to where just because you believe that way doesn't mean you don't have to sometimes stand up for yourself and fight back. Yeah. Because in the first half of the movie, 3/4 of the movie, stuff is just happening to these girls. It's just happening to them, and they're like, it's just how life is. This is like, the guy wants this, let me do that. The guy wants that, let me do that. And then there's a turning point where and we can't talk about it because it's spoiler, but there's a turning point where she takes her what happens into her own hands, and she uses her body, her sexuality, to get in to survive. Basically, she's using it to survive, but then she uses it to take back her life, and then whatever happens from the rest of the movie is what happens from the rest of the movie. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
The daddy scene.
It was sort of a surrender moment, but then what do you call it? It's so you could take the guy off guard. Yeah.
So totally go see this movie. Go see it. I loved it. I want to see it. I want to see it again so I can talk to my daughter about it. and just want to see it again. I know that there are layers of things happening that you can go back and watch, knowing what happens, and see little things, little Easter eggs that they've left behind, or stuff you didn't catch the first time around. So highly, highly, highly recommend it.
We just can't get away without doing an hour.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be done like 20 minutes ago, but we there's other stuff to talk about. I could still be talking about this movie.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to.
Okay.
That's it. Movieisms.com. Follow us on social media. Hit us up there. If you see this movie and would like to continue the conversation, movieisms@gmail.com.
Please talk to us, because sometimes we feel like, do you care? So let us know. Because Mike is feeling bad, so he needs some
feeling
support.
bad. We established that you're the one that feels bad. I'm
give me some support.
I'm the yin to your yang. I'm counterbalancing. Remember?
Let me know that.
He can't even think of it. He can't even manifest the word.
Good or bad, whatever. Just fucking can send an email or some shit.
All right.
The end.
Movieisms is a production of Super Mega Ultra Entertainment and is produced by Michael Bekemeyer and Bradley Kingston. If you'd like to find out more, follow us on Twitter or Instagram. And make sure you click like on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/movieisms. If you're enjoying this podcast, please take a moment and give us a 5-star review in iTunes. It only takes a minute, and it helps us out more than you can imagine. Thank you very much, and until next time, we'll see you at the movies.